All right, everybody. I'm here with Chris Stege. Hey, Chris.
Hey there, Jennifer.
How you doing?
I'm wonderful. Good morning to you.
Good morning
Yeah,
to you. So Chris is in Austin, Texas, and you've been at eXp for about 3.5 years, right?
that's right.
What prompted the move? I know you said you were with like a small boutique brokerage before. Tell us a little bit about like your journey and how you ended up over at eXp because you were in kind of the beginning days.
I started with eXp about 3.5 years, coming up on 3.5 years ago. So it was
Mhm.
November of 2017.
Okay.
And at the time, Jennifer, I was working with a small boutique firm, as you mentioned, in downtown Austin. We had a great office. I wasn't looking for a move.
Yeah.
I was, doing north of 10 million a year in sales.
Mhm.
Was making a great
Nice
living, uh,
business.
great business.
Mhm.
I had a good friend of mine that pulled me aside and shared with me the EXP model, and it just was something that I said, this is a no brainer. Why would I not?
Right. Well, you had
Just
mentioned that you always were kind of thinking like, what is the next step for me? And so like most of the time as agents, when we're thinking like, what is the next step? We're thinking like, okay, well, I can sell more. But you
Mhm.
knew like your next step was going to be like outside of Austin and networking. And you even started that networking group. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've always thought and done entrepreneurially. I've never once in my really adult, you know, life career,
Mhm.
have worked for anyone. I've always thought, how can I build and scale and grow?
Right.
And the companies that I've started, I don't like to be confined to a local
Right.
market. And so I
I don't
started
like
a
being confined
no,
either.
no confinement. I don't like box. I like,
Yeah.
thinking outside, like far beyond the box, and
Right.
so and I think that's cool about EXP is that we're a whole nother box. I mean, or
Right.
we're thinking far beyond, not just
Mhm.
outside, but far beyond the box. And
Mhm.
and so I started a group called Greater Value Network, and we was a unique group of real estate centric professionals.
Mhm.
And one of our partners came in. His name was Don Hobbs, and decided to join us.
Mhm.
And after having come a few weeks, he pulled me aside and shared this model with me. And it was my idea at the time, and it still is, on
Mhm.
how I could grow and expand my influence. And you know, um, we know that you know word of mouth is like the best advertising. We say
Right.
that word of mouth can't be advertised against. It's it's king. It's the
Right.
real deal.
Right.
And so how could I build extraordinary word of mouth, and how could we help others grow their businesses? And so it's very much of a help others first, and if you help them first, then they'll help you.
Mhm.
And it was a great. We have a nonprofit that we joined with, and so that was the big draw to people, because a
Mhm.
lot of the funds that were given to the group, that attracted most people to the group. And so at the time, I was wanting to grow and build other groups or clubs, if you will, into
Right.
multiple cities throughout the state of Texas. And so Don knew that. He knew
Mhm.
my model.
Mhm.
And so he said, hey, this might be a model, EXP might be a model to really take a closer look at, because I know what you're doing. This is
Yeah.
what he was saying. This could help um, excel and move into that direction.
Well, I mean, I think what you're speaking to is what most entrepreneurs go through. It's like, and real estate agents too. It's like, okay, I want to grow bigger. So what do I have to do that? Let me start these other things. Let me grow. But it still stays like within like your city or your state or your town or whatever. And all the while in the back of your head, like if I'm gonna be as big as I want to be, like I have to go beyond that. But then we get this pushback, and it's like, but I don't want to be licensed in a different state, and I don't want to. How would logistically I go to a different state? And to your point, like even if you were to get licensed in a different state, you may then have to be with a different brokerage or have to pay like additional fees or like whatever. It's always like something else. And EXP is the framework of it provides and like reduces that barrier where you can. I mean, currently you're in how many states? 8?
8 states and multiple cities throughout, and
Yeah.
we're growing by the month. Yep.
And if you were to do that at any other brokerage, you'd have to find a brokerage, first of all, that was in all 8 states, and you can even be in different countries now if you
That's right.
wanted, and it would be no additional cost.
Nothing.
Yeah. So I
Exactly
think
right.
to me, that's like, we all know, and we don't always want to have to be the one that does everything either. Like, that's
Mhm.
not sustainable.
Mm-mm.
So it's like, where is that balance? And I think you're speaking to EXP has that for you, where you
Mhm.
don't have to always be the one, but you still get to be the igniter, I guess. You still get to be the entrepreneur and
That's
help
right.
all of those people without being the person that's doing all the work.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. There's a great book called Cash Flow Quadrant, or there
Oh
was a
yeah.
book that I read in my
Poor
early
dad.
years, yeah,
Mhm.
in my 20s years ago, and it was Rich Dad Poor Dad, and but the Cash Flow Quadrant talks about the being the self-employed and being in that rut, and
Yes.
that's where even the amount of volume that I was doing. That's where I was. I mean, I was still needed here. I still had some flexibility,
Right.
but it was deal to deal to deal to deal to deal. It wasn't,
That's always how it is. I mean,
yeah,
and until you can get out of it, and there's a lot of pushback because this is new. Like, this is a new idea that EXP is offering, so people are like, well, how are you doing it? Well, let's show you.
yeah, and that's it. And what I really couldn't deal with when I sat down with him, there was a slide in the presentation
Mhm.
that said, Blockbuster to Netflix, and
Yeah.
I knew that why would I try to build a Blockbuster in a Netflix world?
Right.
Why would I
That's a
do that?
great point.
You gotta shift. You gotta go and
Or build a store in an Amazon world.
there
Same.
you go. There you go. Yeah, and so thankful that I that he pulled me aside,
Yeah.
and we're doing what we're doing today. It is truly life changing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
awesome. I think you really like hit the nail on the head for what's going on in the back of their mind, but they can't like put the words to it. But I like that analogy, like building a blockbuster in a Netflix world. Like, that's perfect. Like, why would you do that? That makes
Yeah.
no sense.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Yeah.
shut
Yeah.
down. I
Yeah.
actually ate at there was a blockbuster in our town, and it
Mhm.
got turned into a restaurant, and I ate there, and I was like, oh my god, this used to be a blockbuster. Like, you could tell because of the videos and you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'll tell you, there's times I say this all the time. I miss it. There's something about getting up and going out and checking out, seeing if that movie's there. If it's not, you go up to the counter and But there's something just quick and convenient and special about the click of a mouse.
Yeah.
And anytime, anywhere. I mean, that was, and there was another sentence in a slide that it caught me, and it hit me hard. And it says, "There's no limitations on the amount an agent can earn," and that
None.
was
Like,
none,
literally none.
no
And
limitations. Like,
other companies say that, but this is literally none, because when you go outside of your state or your country, there's no additional fees.
no fees. Your overhead per month, if you want to,
Doesn't
all
change.
overhead is $85 a month, and that's it. Whether you go into Spain,
Mhm.
Mexico, India, right? We just talked about Spain.
Mhm.
Other states.
Yeah.
But that's when I saw that, I thought, if what's your wildest dreams?
Right.
There's
I think it's so untapped is the thing,
that's
because
that.
we've all been in this, like, this is how real estate works. You do this, you do that. If you want to grow beyond that, then you must get licensed and where you want to go. And then you have to figure out how to spend time there and spend time here, or you have to get somebody there that represents you. It's just not how you have to do it. It's just
It's
so
not.
new that I don't think most of us can figure where it's going to go.
Hmm.
It's going to be
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. And then the whole training aspect of it. And
Mhm.
I love to teach and train and build systems and show folks how to create. I started my business working open houses, built a large 6-figure income first 2 years
Right.
of my real estate business, every single week, I would just work the open houses. And so we teach a class on how to do open houses. Well, when you go into the eXp world, you know that they're changing the hours per week. It just seems like it's increasing every week,
Oh
but
my gosh, there's over 50
80,
hours a week
90, I
now.
don't know what there is now of hours per week of training, but
It's a lot.
you know, you can, you know, it's like a manager versus an owner. You know,
Yeah.
ownership was key, leverage, being able to take advantage and share that there's more support, there's greater support, there's unparalleled training in the cloud that we can get to multiples versus just a small group
Well,
here in
I
my
know
local market.
too, like to a similar point is I had a concern about, I was pretty ingrained in my brokerage. Like I was teaching classes, like I was at a lot of the social events, like I was part of like the culture there, you know? And I was like, what is it going to be like? But like we met in a class, like in a training class, and I just like texted you, and here we are, like a couple of days later. It's so easy. And I'm like, this is great because I feel like we're more like-minded, even though you live in Texas and I live in Ohio, we're more like-minded than maybe some of the people that I was sitting in a room with at my brokerage. I'm not limited anymore to those people. You know what I mean? Like those are great people, but like there's so many other people out there.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Yeah, you're spot on.
Mhm.
Like minds. I mean, that's what I've seen more in my time here. You know, when I first saw this model, I thought, man, this is good. It looks great on paper. It
Right.
makes sense, you
But how
know,
does it work?
economically. How's it working? So, you know, we were about a month away from eXpCon, which is we do 2 events a year, eXpCon and our shareholder summit.
Mhm.
And so eXpCon was a month away in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And at the time there was, you know, I flew in, I wanted to see the people, like I wanted
Yeah.
to see the culture, and culture attracts. I mean, we have a solid culture here locally and globally,
Yeah.
but I saw agents who just, who cared deeply,
Yeah.
who wanted to listen,
Mhm.
who wanted to be a part of this this community
Yeah.
together and grow
Right.
this thing. And it was different. It was something different about it, and that's all I needed to see. In fact, that Sunday, it was the only thing I wanted to see, and I signed up. And so we had just announced 5,000 agents in 46 states. We
Oh
were
my
only,
gosh.
and we were in like 3 or 4 provinces of Canada. That was it at the
That was
time.
it.
And then what's so fun now is that we've exceeded 50,000 through
Right.
text. And and the crazy thing is we still, there's so much work
There's
and so
so
many more
much.
lives to impact. Yeah, so
Well,
yeah.
it's also about keeping more money in your pocket as a real as an agent. I mean, most of us work for money and we
Mhm,
want to do something that we enjoy. So you might as well make the most amount of money while you're working.
mhm.
That's what I figure.
Yes, yes, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's just math.
You know, I've got trophies and I've got, you know, plaques and for, you know,
Right.
best production and monthly, you know,
But you can't
recognition.
sell
And
that. Nobody wants
so,
that.
and the thing is here, it's like you can get trophies, it's fine, but here we award with stock, and
Right.
that's a game changer.
It
It's just,
definitely is.
yeah, it's a life changer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if people resonate with your story and they want to learn more about your journey to EXP and have questions about it, or if they have a referral for you in Austin, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
You know, you can always welcome to call me. Chris at austinpropertiesnow.com is my email.
Mhm.
Send me an email. And love connecting with others, and just listening to their story, and and certainly if there's a ever a time where you're thinking, man, this could be maybe something I'd like to look a little bit deeper into, it would
Mhm.
be a good thing to just reach out and have a conversation. Yep.
Awesome. Well, I
Yep.
really appreciate you being on. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thanks, Jennifer. It's a
Have a
pleasure.
good one.
You too.